Honda just claimed they've built a hybrid engine that smashes 700 miles on a single tank, undercuts EV running costs, and could shove Tesla off its throne. Sounds insane? Buckle up. Here's how one low-key press conference flipped the EV world on its head. It all started with a press conference that honestly no one expected to matter. Honda's CEO walked up to the mic with a calm smile. Reporters leaned back, phones in hand, half expecting a minor announcement about fuel economy upgrades or another concept EV. But what came out of his mouth? It made the entire auto industry sit up straight. We have developed a new hybrid engine that will make current EVs obsolete. He really said that, and the internet exploded.
This engine isn't just a slightly better hybrid, it's what Honda calls the e-Ultra hybrid, and it's the result of over 6 years of R&D, millions of dollars, and a bet against the future everyone else was building.
You see, while other companies were racing toward full electrification, Honda quietly went the other way. They looked at the flaws in EV adoption, charging times, range anxiety, battery degradation, cost, and said, what if we fixed all of that without going fully electric?
Traditional hybrids are like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, where you can still taste every part separately. Sometimes the car runs on gas, sometimes it sips electricity, you feel the switches, it's clunky.
But the e-Ultra is smooth, like a blended milkshake. You don't know where gas ends and electric begins. When you're cruising through city streets, it runs purely on electricity, silent, clean, and zero emissions. On the highway, the gas engine kicks in, but here's the kicker. It doesn't just burn fuel. It works with the electric motor, tag team style, to maximize power and efficiency. And wait, it gets crazier. The battery doesn't need to be plugged in at all. It charges itself through regenerative braking. That's a fancy term for this. When you slow down, instead of wasting all that energy as heat, the car captures it and uses it to recharge the battery. Boom, self-sustaining. No charging station, no 12-hour plug-in overnight. You just drive, like this video, and subscribe, and the car takes care of the rest. But what really makes this special is the range. Let's talk numbers. A Tesla Model 3 gets around 330 miles per charge. Impressive, right? Now imagine the e-Ultra setup giving you over 700 miles on a single tank and full battery. 700. That's more than double. You could drive from New York to Chicago without stopping once and still have fuel left to circle around looking for parking. And Honda's not just making wild claims here. Early prototype tests have confirmed it, 700 plus miles combined range, with real-world urban driving pulling over 80 miles per gallon equivalent. That's better than most EVs, and it doesn't need a single charging cable. But what if I told you the savings don't stop there? Here's something most people forget to consider: fueling cost. Charging an EV at home sounds cheap until you look at real electricity rates. In places like California, it can cost $30 to $40 for a full charge. That's about the same as a tank of gas. But the e-Ultra, you're getting nearly twice the range for the same cost, and zero charging downtime. It's like paying for a 1-hour movie and getting a double feature.
Now let's talk winter. EVs hate the cold. Their range drops by 30 to 40% when temps dip below freezing. That means a 300-mile EV might barely make it 180 in winter. But the e-Ultra? Gas engines love dense cold air, and the hybrid system keeps performance steady. That means no planning your trip around charging stations just because it's snowing. Here's a fun fact. Honda's e-Ultra equipped CR-V prototype does 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. That's nearly identical to a base Tesla Model Y. But the difference? The e-Ultra doesn't sacrifice long-term reliability to do it. The gas motor takes the stress off the battery. Translation: less wear, fewer repairs, longer lifespan. And here's a practical one no one talks about: insurance. EVs are often more expensive to insure because of pricey parts and complex repairs. Honda's hybrid setup? It uses cheaper components, simpler systems, and it's easier to service. That means lower premiums. For most families, that's hundreds of dollars saved every year. Oh, and this one's a game changer. EV resale values drop fast, especially when the battery starts aging. Buyers know they'll have to replace it soon. But Honda's e-Ultra? The battery is smaller, cycles less often, and is cheaper to replace. That means higher resale value, longer-term ownership, and fewer financial surprises down the line. EVs are heavy thanks to their giant batteries, and that weight wears down brake pads faster than you'd think. Honda's e-Ultra, lighter design plus regenerative braking means your brake pads last way longer. Less weight, less wear, more savings. Over 100,000 miles, that could mean $500 to $1,000 in repair costs avoided. Most EVs suffer badly when towing.
A Model Y pulling a small trailer, expect range to drop by half or more. The e-Ultra hybrid keeps power consistent and doesn't rely on the battery alone. You can haul gear, bikes, or even a trailer and still keep your range above 600 miles. That's a serious advantage for road trippers. On a road trip, charging an EV can eat up serious time. Even with fast chargers, you're stuck for 30 to 45 minutes per stop. The e-Ultra, a 5-minute gas fill-up and you're back on the road. On a 1,000-mile journey, that could save you 2 to 3 hours easy. EVs are complex under the hood, even if they seem simple. Battery management systems, high-voltage components, they need specialized mechanics. Honda's hybrid system? Familiar tech with smarter software. That means more garages can work on it, and you're not tied to a dealership or niche service center. In freezing temps, EV batteries struggle to warm up. That means sluggish starts and reduced performance. Gas engines, they've been starting in the cold for a century. The e-Ultra gives you that classic reliability, but still starts quiet and smooth like an EV. Best of both worlds. You thought that was big? Try this. EV batteries are expensive. A typical EV battery replacement is $10,000 to $20,000 depending on the car. But you know what's not expensive? Clicking the subscribe button. Unlike a typical battery, Honda's battery is smaller, lighter, and designed to last over 300,000 miles with minimal degradation. And because it doesn't carry the entire propulsion load like a pure EV battery does, it doesn't heat up as much or cycle as hard. Translation: fewer failures, cheaper maintenance, and longer lifespan. Now, let's take a second here. Why does this matter? Because the number one reason many people still avoid EVs, despite all the cool factor, is the fear of battery failure and being stranded with no charging station in sight. It's a legit concern, especially in places like India, Brazil, or large parts of Africa where charging infrastructure is still a decade behind. Honda's new engine skips that problem entirely. It runs electric where it makes sense, gas where it's better, and charges itself along the way. But wait, this next part changes everything: cost. While EV makers are scrambling to get prices down, Honda is starting this system in mid-tier cars, not luxury sedans, not six-figure flagships. We're talking CR-Vs, Accords, and eventually budget cars like the Civic. That's important because it puts this tech in the hands of everyday drivers, not just early adopters or status seekers. You and me, our parents, your Uber driver, everyone. And here's something Elon Musk probably doesn't want to hear. Honda plans to bring this engine to its two-wheelers, scooters, and motorcycles. And that's a game changer in countries where two-wheelers massively outnumber cars. It's not just about flashy sedans, it's about giving the world an alternative that actually fits into their lives.
But what about emissions? Isn't it still burning gas?
Yes and no. The e-Ultra engine uses an ultra-lean burn system. That means it burns fuel so efficiently that emissions drop below even the strictest EV lifecycle estimates. Think of it this way: the process of mining lithium for EV batteries, shipping them, charging them, replacing them, that whole cycle can be dirtier than just burning a drop of gas really well. Honda's playing 4D chess here. And just when you thought the board was set, boom, Honda moves another piece. And just when the EV market was getting comfortable, this happened. You see, for the past 5 years, EV companies have been operating under the assumption that governments were all in on electric. Billions in subsidies, incentives, marketing campaigns, infrastructure projects, everyone drank the EV Kool-Aid. But what if I told you that's starting to shift? After Honda's announcement, several policymakers, especially in countries where EV rollout is lagging, started calling this new tech a potential transition bridge, a way to cut emissions without betting the farm on charging networks. And investors, they took notice too. But here's where it turns into a full-blown plot twist. Tesla's stock took a minor dip. BYD, shaken. Because now, there's a third option. And it's not just theory. Honda has a full rollout plan. The first e-Ultra equipped vehicles hit the Japanese and US markets later this year. Not in 5 years. Not sometime soon. By December. Then in early 2026, they plan to expand to Europe, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does this feel like such a big deal? Because for years, the EV movement has been framed as an all-or-nothing race. Either you go full electric, or you're part of the problem. But Honda's saying, what if that's not true? What if there's a smarter in-between that gets us 90% of the benefits without any of the pain? Think about it. No range anxiety, no charging delays, no $15,000 battery replacements, and the performance? Still silent, still torquey, still quick off the line. In fact,
Early testers say the e-Ultra engine delivers 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds in a CR-V. That's family SUV territory. That's fast.
But we're not done yet. Wait for this next bombshell. And here's where it gets even crazier. This engine isn't just a one-off project. Honda's building the new production facility specifically for the e-Ultra series. A whole new line. The scale they're aiming for? 1 million units per year by 2027. That's massive. And with scale comes cost reduction. By 2028, Honda says even their entry-level hatchbacks will get versions of this system. That's the death knell for overpriced EVs that still don't deliver. And in case you're wondering, yes, this engine tech is already being patented worldwide. Honda's locking it down. Just a few years ago, if someone said the future of cars isn't electric, they'd be laughed off the stage. But now, it's not so funny. Because while the rest of the industry was busy throwing billions into battery-only solutions, Honda quietly built a smarter engine, one that doesn't ask you to compromise. The EV world just got blindsided. And now, all eyes are on how Tesla, BYD, and the rest will respond. Will they double down on batteries? Or pivot toward hybrids too? Will we see a resurgence of internal combustion but cleaner, smarter, and paired with electric tech? Whatever happens next, one thing's clear. Honda just flipped the script, and the auto industry may never be the same again.